Yo, we back in the building and we doing what we do. This is Dontro Detroit, along with Love Amplified, and I apologize for the delay. We had some technical difficulties getting to the studio, and we were supposed to go on at 8, but we're on now. Nonetheless, we're here for you. We stayed for you because we want to give you what we need to give you. You know what I'm saying? And so, we got a full house tonight. You know what I'm saying? We have an abundance of talent. We're outnumbered tonight, women to men. And we're going to let them do what they do and ask us the questions that they need to ask us regarding our topic. But, from right to left, I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves and let you know who's in the building. And so, to my right, the lady of the house tonight, DG.
Hey.
Dope ass hat. What it do?
Thank you. Everybody, how's everybody doing tonight? We are here in the building. Got a lot to bring you. Kicking it over to...
Yes, I'm Malaysia. It's my first time being on someone else's podcast for a change.
Welcome.
Woo, woo.
Yeah.
What up? Hey, we need the applause, man.
Yeah.
You gotta have the applause.
Malaysia's in the building.
I feel it, my
So
bad.
glad to be here. I'm happy to be here. Thank you guys. Excited for the discussion tonight.
Absolutely.
And then, next to me.
Hey, I'm a little loud, so sorry about that. Hey, we're getting it together. You know what I'm saying? We're just trying to spread love amplify. We're just trying to amplify the love, literally and figuratively. So that's what we're up to, and we're just gonna keep it going and keep it flowing. We got Miss Black Hollywood. She gonna give us what's the word on the streets, on the streets. in the world today. I don't know, whatever you got going on, but we're gonna we're just gonna have a convo, and like I said, we appreciate anybody that's tuned in, that's really kind of here to like spread love with us on the Good News Radio. You know what I'm saying? That's the vibes that we going for. And shout out to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to anybody that's tuned in, that's listening to the replay. And Miss Black Hollywood, what's the word?
Hey everybody, it's Miss Black Hollywood. I'm so thankful to be back in the building. This is my second Love Amplified show, and I'm glad to be here. In terms of words on the street, I really don't know what's going on in the world today. I mean, there's so many
what's going on.
Right?
Always know what's going on.
Don't put her on blast. We'll come back to it, though. But.
I was going to say, I usually know topics of the day, but I really have not.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there's topics, but then there's like, okay, right now, this very moment topics, but you pretty much know probably what's like.
I'm all over
current,
it.
Yeah, Detroit was good, man.
So that's the applause for me back to myself. Making sure the button up. So, Love Amplified is intellectual stimulation for your mind, body, and soul. The love session has ended, and now it's time to increase the intensity and dive deeper into the meaning of dialogue regarding the love experience. We're taking conversation to the new level. So, that is hashtag the Good News Radio. Okay, hashtag Love Amplified, hashtag Relationship Podcast. So, for our social media handles, Miss
Social media handles. So
DG.
check us out, Instagram at the Love Amplified Podcast. Scroll over to Facebook. It's the Love Amplified Podcast, capital A. Twitter at Amplify the. And then check us out on Skype. I mean, you could call in live. It's 323-900-0478. And definitely download the app. All right.
So, alrighty. So tonight we are talking about mental health. But before we get to that, we have on this day.
Happy anniversary.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. A happy anniversary. So happy.
Do we have that that sound up thing? We haven't been doing it for a minute, but do we have that actual happy anniversary? No. Dang it. All right. So that's cool. All right. So today, on this day, we actually have an anniversary, and it's actually landed on today's date. And today is National Silence the Shame Day, which is May 5th.
Wow.
And it's a sister. That's the name. What's her name? Shanti Daz. Shanti Daz. And she's the founder of this hashtag. And you can actually text 707070 and to support, and it will donate to Silence the Shame. And her thing is that she wants to tell people that it's okay to not be okay.
Right.
And like that's her message. She recently lost her sister. She's been going through different levels of depression and things like that, but she wants people to understand that, you know, if you're going through things, like, it's literally okay to go through them. And I think that's like therapeutic too, is just to be like, you're experiencing this situation and you don't have to like not like try to mask that you're not going through a situation. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of her message, is like, it's okay to not be okay. So Silence the Shame hashtag is the hashtag,
That is so
and that's
great.
today. Yeah.
I honestly love how aware people have become now about mental health and being so vocal about it. I feel like until recently, this past year, or that everyone has been vocal about it, and a lot of people have come out and really had a conversation about it. Before that never really happened, and everyone talked about it, and I think that's a great thing that came through from social media.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just think, when you think about the times, everything's
Yeah.
up front now. You know, I think even though people are still suffering silently,
Yes.
it's like when you see it out on social media, it's like you're not so much alone. Like, okay, so there is multiple communities that are suffering from different things, and you know, so I definitely feel like it's definitely taken off some of the shadows of that, to where
Yeah.
like people are okay to step up to say, okay, I'm gonna link with you. I'm, have some kind of area of refuge, more so
Yeah,
to speak. So
yeah.
I definitely, think that it's doing a great job. Social
Yeah.
media. We're here.
Social media has
Yeah,
definitely made it
major.
It's in your face. Like anytime you're
Right.
scrolling, I think anytime you see that children at 9 and 10 years old are now killing themselves
Right.
in abundance.
My
It's
God.
like,
Yeah.
it's happening.
That's
You
so
know,
sad.
you can't scroll through. There's adults. People are killing themselves on
Right.
Facebook Lives, and you're able to actually watch
Right.
them and
Right.
watch that they've been going through. And then you can scroll back and be like, yeah, man, for the last 20 weeks, they've been
Right.
saying, I'm depressed or
And then
whatever.
sometimes it's ironic that social media can have a factor to damaging your mental health.
Oh,
when it
yeah,
comes
very
to
much so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's kind of like a double-sided sword in
Yeah.
a sense, because trust me, it happens to me where in the past, and I normally have gotten really good at not doing it because I've been trying to just focus on myself. But the comparisons, thinking,
Yeah.
getting lost in
Yeah.
someone else's page or other people's, and seeing like comparing your successes or whatever it could be.
Right.
And
Because people are only,
Seeing the
posting
highlights.
their
Yeah.
highlights, right?
Right.
So then
Yeah.
we look and we're like, dang,
Yeah.
by 30, whatever, I thought I was going to do this,
Yeah.
and this. And before you know it, you've...
gone into this
Right.
black hole of
Right.
going to different people's pages. And I
FOMO.
Yeah.
FOMO,
Right.
right?
Yeah, FOMO,
That's what
yeah.
it's called.
But it's also a real study though, and they were showing how social media, how the fact that like the inventory of what we're processing, like it's overload.
Yeah.
Like our
Yeah.
brains are even supposed to like be breaking down how much intake of how much we're consuming.
Yeah.
That's where- so even that, I'm like, I need to check out.
Chill out.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't realize it because you're just in it.
Yeah.
You know.
And before that,
Right.
20 minutes has passed.
Right.
30
A
minutes
whole
has passed.
hour.
A whole hour. And you're like, what did I do? I just
Such a
scrolled.
time waster.
And
It's such a
right.
time waster.
Yeah,
I'm
it
telling you.
is.
I mean,
it is.
but we
But
get
we're
up and
drawn
we,
into it though. It sucks you in. So it's just, it comes back to balance. You know what I mean? So,
And yeah, and then going back, I guess, back to the highlight reel. Because then you forget you're doing the same thing too. Like,
Right.
you're only posting your highlights because if you go on my page or anybody's page, really, it's like you might have had like a horrible, horrible week. But then you go on their page or your page or whatever, and it looks like you're having a great time or
Right,
whatever. But in reality, maybe you,
right.
like I said, had a bad week or whatever.
Yeah. I definitely only want to show the best sides of myself.
Yeah. And it's
Don't
like you don't.
everybody?
Yeah, because no one wants to go. Because when you think about it, when you go on if you go on Facebook and you see someone posting negative stuff all the time, or Instagram, or you don't want to see that. You're
Yeah.
like, what are you
Right.
doing?
Yeah.
Right.
I might watch I might watch just to get the tea.
The drama, just the drama unfold. If
Somebody spilling the tea.
To get the tea.
Might just
watch from a distance.
what do they call that? The eating popcorn with Michael Jackson. Eat popcorn emoji.
Well,
I'm gonna just watch, but reality is, I don't go back and forth online. By the grace of God, if I don't have to, like I tell people, like I'll delete comments or something like that if somebody does bring negative to my side. But there's been times where I consciously have posted things that I was going through personally.
Yeah.
Like I remember, I think my car got towed or something, and I was just like, all right, I think I got a boot on my car, and I was like, yeah, I'm really going through something, or saying something more vulnerable. But for the most part, I definitely try to go to art. I think last year, it was like a year ago, I posted something about my dad, and I was like, yo, if you love my dad, just pray for him. And it was more general, but people kind of picked up on it, and they were just like, oh, I think he even commented too. He was like, yeah, I'm praying for him or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just to say look, this isn't all glitz and glamour, you know what I'm saying? This stuff goes on.
Real.
And but I think it's definitely sometimes you do need to have that kind of moment where you're not just oh hey, I'm everything's all happy joy and everything, I'm living my best life. You know what I'm saying? Every single moment. it's like nah, that's not necessarily how this thing works. It might look like that to a lot of people, but it's not necessarily like that. But at the same time, I feel like I am living my best life, even though it is stuff going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
too?
absolutely.
So that's definitely the mental health side.
But
So-
even coming, go ahead.
Go ahead. What you
Well,
about to
just
say?
coming back to just, the overall topic of mental health. And I've witnessed just, it's a lot of people that are on social media use it as this is my place to vent. And hopefully I could get some kind of sympathy or some kind of pity, depending on where you are. But even with that, it's just you have to somewhat filter it, because you don't want to become so desensitized to where, okay, this person is really crying for help. What do I, you know what I mean? Do I comment on this? Do I, So even with that, it comes to a place where, even within mental health, it's just social media. It's just you have to kind of filter what you're taking in, but also too, checking on the person. You know what I mean? That person, they putting stuff out there. You can sense that energy. If it's real, So, I just want to get back to just the whole overall. I was reading this. I was literally on Instagram right before I came and ran across this clip that Meek Mill posted. And it was just all about PTSD and how, in different communities that have been really just hammered with violence, and how there's so many people that are suffering from PTSD and never get treated.
Yeah.
It's not I had to be in the military, or I had to be a vet to, you know what I mean? So it's the common person. It's not normal. But yet people are being conditioned to normalize this violence. Growing up seeing people get shot up every single day. So it comes back down to, it's a conditioning thing too. You know what I mean? How do we uncondition ourselves? And just like you were just saying right now, about even going to a place where it's it's okay. Everybody needs something. You know what I mean? So how do you even break out to say, okay, well, maybe I could try therapy. Maybe I could try going to a counselor or something like that. So I just want to throw that out there just to get, just the conversation going, even with that. I could have PSD. It's so many things that, did I really recover from that trauma?
Yeah.
Whether it's little or big, it's just we don't take the time to recover, to reflect, to move on. So,
I think everybody, PTSD is something that people, reference to people that was in the military,
Right.
Which I was in the military. I did
Yeah.
serve in Iraq, but I would say people that people that work with Nipsey Hussle and dealt with him directly,
They are grieving.
yeah,
All
it's
of them.
it's. I mean, I
Man.
live in that community, and
Yeah.
that has my anxiety up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's something
Same.
I feel like all of us need. I feel like I've been feeling this particular instance really kind of highlighted something I was feeling already, but it's we as black people especially, we just have dealt, we deal with so much,
right.
but and then we just able to it seems like we're able to withstand so much that we're not even able to realize how bad stuff is,
Right.
kind of, or something.
You
It's
get
like we're
desensitized.
desensitized to it, and we're just like, oh, this is bad. Oh no, this is real bad. Oh, this is like really, really bad. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? We just like, oh, this is life. And I think that with Nipsey, we kind of like know how bad it is, but we're still just like, oh, we got to keep going. We got to just keep moving. And it's like, I don't know. It's like we're all kind of we're basically all dealing with this thing different. We're in different ways.
Yeah.
But like, I think that everybody that dealt with him directly on a day-to-day basis are that they need some serious grieving counseling and some serious PTSD
And
counseling.
the value
you know?
of grieving counseling, like, it is value to that. You know what I mean? It's, yeah, I don't know of a culture. I think even growing up, it was never a thing where, you know, when we talk about mental health, it was like, oh, something's wrong with you. That's just, you know, but it wasn't encouraged to say it's okay if you process differently, or if you're, you know, dealing with certain things, you don't know how to filter which way to navigate. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to express yourself in that light and not be seen as weak, which I know a lot of, I would say, black men coming up, and even in the community it wasn't a thing where, you know, this black man could be, you know, vulnerable, you know what I mean, show a little tear, but yet I know the mental this man is carrying. Like, you got a lot on you, but I see you. You know what I mean? When is it okay to not be seen as weak if they're being human? You know? So
I'm gonna give an overview. So here's an article. All right. So many mental illnesses affect both men and women. However, men may be less likely to talk about their feelings and seek help. Recognizing the signs of someone that may have a mood or mental disorder is the first step to getting treatment and living a better life. Warning signs. Men and women may experience the same in mental disorders, but the willingness to talk about their feelings may be different. This is one of the reasons that their symptoms may be very different as well. For example, some men with depression or an anxiety disorder hide their emotions and may appear to be angry or aggressive, while many women express sadness. Some men may turn to drugs or alcohol to try to cope in their emotional issues. Sometimes mental health symptoms appear to be physical issues. For example, a racing heart, tightening chest, ongoing headaches, digestive issues, and can be a sign of emotional problems. So here are just a few signs, warning signs that you can include: anger, irritability or aggressiveness, noticeable changes in mood, energy level, and or appetite, difficulty sleeping or sleeping too much, difficulty concentrating or feeling restless or on edge, increased worry or feeling stressed, a need for alcohol or drugs, sadness or hopefulness, suicidal thoughts, feeling flat or having trouble feeling the positive emotions, engaging in high risk activities, ongoing headaches, digestive issues or pain, obsessive thinking or compulsive behavior, thoughts or behaviors that interfere with work, family, or social life, and last but not least, unusual thinking or behaviors or concern with other people. Now, personally, for me, I feel like they covered the spectrum of life, you know what I'm saying, inside of that. So whenever you're having a bad mood, it seems like it could be a mental health issue. But for the ladies in the building, right? So he and I are men, and as you are on the other side of the situation, you've dealt with a man. Tell me what it's like before identifying or self-diagnosing a man that you feel has some type of personal issues and or trauma, and you trying to date said person.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I definitely hate to always go back to this, but I think it's very important to just realize that just where black people came from, you know, just because we got to think about like slavery and all of those things, and how we still have not had the resolve really from those issues, us having to deal with those. And then, you know, you get into being free but not being free, Jim Crow, civil rights. We've just always had it. We've always been the people that were disenfranchised.
Correct.
We're just always that. So we don't have the room to talk about if we have a headache or something hurts. Like our ancestors just didn't have that. So anyway, we're just a little spoiled. But in terms of dealing with a man who has been depressed or dealt with trauma, it's very hard to date a man who is going through those things. No matter how much you support him or try to pour into him, right, he just can't accept it. I mean, in my experience, he wasn't able to just kind of see or push through that. So, that was the experience that I had. There was just a lot of ups and downs, and ultimately we had to call it quits because he just couldn't quite handle and balance all of the things. Like, we couldn't work our way through it if he wasn't open to just talking about, just admitting that I have an issue.
Right. So it became a burden more so you trying to carry that.
I feel like energy is contagious.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
so you trying to lift somebody up is really just pushing you down or putting you on that level. Even if you're like, no, we're good. And, it's constantly being...
That's heavy.
And if the person is not recognizing it themselves and they're not doing anything to do about it, your energy becomes depleted. Because,
oh my gosh, yes. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It really is.
Because like you said, or like we all know, it's a mental health thing. So at the end of the day, it's an issue to where you have to recognize it first before, if you want to help yourself, you can't. Yeah.
A question: is there a difference between belittling oneself and self-deprecation and mental illness for you guys? Like, I know what it is for a female and a woman, but I want to know what's like the difference between those things and you guys and mental illness.
Repeat that one more time.
So, is there a difference between a man belittling or demeaning himself and going through self-deprecation and that of actual mental illness?
I mean, I think they could be related. Like you read the symptoms.
Right.
They're definitely kissing cousins.
Right,
Yeah,
they're kissing cousins.
that.
But any man that's like constantly belittling himself, obviously he's lacking a lot of confidence
Right.
and self-esteem.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line whether his self-esteem is low
Right.
or he's just having some issues. Either way, it's hard to deal with a man that has self-esteem issues because you want a man to typically lead you.
Right.
You don't want to be
Right.
in a situation where if he don't have the confidence.
Can you define that for me? Can
Yeah, 'cause I
each
would-
woman, can
yeah.
each woman here define? Before we get back to that, you want a man to lead you. Are we all? First off, are we all on one accord here? You want a man to lead you?
Yeah, because I mean, for me, in the sense, like, I already know myself well enough. I feel confident in myself to where I know myself. But I think at the same level, like, I don't want him to just, because I'm always in control, I'd like to have someone else take control as well at the same time, because it's like, it's nice to have you feel that
yeah.
comfort.
But men are controlling.
Yeah.
Right. There's a difference between being controlling and leading a woman.
Right.
So I would like for you, because it's a common said thing that
For males, yeah.
I want to follow the leader, or I want to be led, or in a whole separate situation. You know what I'm saying? I need a real man. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Somebody that takes control. So can each one of you define that, what it means to you personally?
For me, I personally will say this. When I say I want a man to lead, it's the covering. You know what I mean? Can you cover me spiritually? Can you cover me mentally? Can you cover me not in a spec? When I say mentally, is if we're in dialogue, regardless of what we're going through, can I have a conversation with you? Can we actually sit down and get to the heart of the matter and come to like an agreement or some kind of understanding? Are you empathetic? You know, because I've literally shortly dated someone that was a total narcissist, and it was just like, I felt almost anxiety picking up the phone.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, what is this?
Yeah.
So it was that level of, yeah, I could lead you, but I want to control. That's two different things. You know what I mean? I don't want to be possessed or controlled, but we're two walking together, but yet still I want to know, can this man cover me as I would, have his back.
And let me have your
be
take.
that anchor.
And I think also, picking up the pieces where maybe I slack and giving me that push to elevate me to do better. And vice versa. I want to be able to help that person level up to their best, and then I expect the same thing for them. Or tell me if I'm slacking in something, you're like, yo, you need to amp up, or put me in check, and vice versa. I expect the same thing.
Be that iron.
Yeah.
Come on now. Iron sharpens iron. Let's go.
For you?
I mean, biblically, you know, a man is the head of the household, or he is the leader of our family, right? He is, right? And a woman, I don't want a man that's confused about where he's going, because
somebody
he's going to lead us nowhere that I'm trying to go. And I've been in relationships where men have been, you know, not consistent, or kind of fly by night, or flighty, or, you know, they can't really decide on things. No. And then I end up leading the situation, or like being the one that's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And you don't want to,
been there,
because then, like, what
are we doing?
You lose a bit of respect for them. You lose a bit of respect for the man. So you just want somebody that's like, no, this is what we're gonna do. Like, he just knows.
So
where are we walking?
Regardless,
where are we going?
let me try to put this in perspective.
Where are we going?
Regardless of to what it is, at the end of the day, you want somebody that's definitive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Right or wrong?
Defending.
I can say that.
I mean, defending, but
Definitive.
Definitive.
oh, definitive.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitive. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of whether they're right or wrong about what they're definitive about, they're definitive.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going.
Yeah.
Because
In a
either way,
direction.
if we're going in a wrong direction, we'll get eventually to the right direction. Like, if we're going, if it's like A or B, somehow we're gonna get back. Neither way is wrong if he's intentional about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very true.
We'll figure it out together.
So let's talk about something that's near and dear to me, right? Is the PTSD, right? So I have a child. I'm no longer with the mother of my child. We're good friends. We're great, or whatever. But one of the things that she spoke of, she brought up an incident one day that made her feel rather not secure. So to put things in perspective, I got shot. Prior to me getting shot, I had been chased in her neighborhood several times, right? Where I could have been shot. But I got shot somewhere else. So post getting out the hospital, there's a situation where I'm getting out the car, I'm getting my son. I see somebody approaching, rather creepy. I grab my son, I run, because I'm getting my son out the car. I'm like, come on. I'm telling her, come on, whatever. But I go because it seemed like everything's happening right now. It was the most creepiest thing, because she acknowledged like that shit was weird. But my reaction to it, she didn't like. I don't know what she exactly expected me to do, but she didn't like. So she let me know a little later, like, you know what? I feel like, you know what I'm saying, like, I wouldn't have been coveted by you in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, you took your son, I felt like you left me. Although you told me to come, you know what I'm saying, and on the whole side of the door, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I feel like, you know what I'm saying, in that instance, I felt left alone. So like, and that stood out to me. You know what I'm saying? My reaction came specifically from it mirroring when I got shot. That's exactly what it looked like before. So you spoke.
So she probably.
I mean, I'm saying
that so you took the son and
It's like, girl, you figure it out.
But you know what? I can understand where she's coming from, but then I can understand where Detroit's coming from, because you channeled into something that was
that happened to you personally.
And so he was reacted out of protection, like, duck and cover.
But I'm saying she realized in that moment where she kind of landed on the totem pole.
No, right. So look,
but then you have to think also, like, would she have done the same thing if she was with her?
Because
with her
you
I mean,
child.
the reality is you gotta protect the child first. You know what I'm saying? She gotta. If it was same thing. If she was on the other foot.
Honestly, I feel like if she was on my side of the car, it would have been the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Like, she would have took your son and dipped. Basically.
No. I'm saying, like, I would have the situation. However, the situation would have been. However, I could have protected her or grabbed her and got her out the way. It would have been the same thing. But
No, I'm talking about if it's when you're in a situation where you got your child in your arms, you're gonna take the child and run.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Correct.
saying if she had the child, then I'm saying you could have been stuck there like, oh, what's going on? You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing about PTSD. Nonetheless, and this is what I tried to explain to her. You don't get a choice. You react.
So yeah.
Period. I don't know what it was like for you in Germany when you were in the war.
Where I lived in Germany, but then I was
right.
I was in the war in Iraq.
What I'm saying is, I don't know what it's like. But here's what it is. So after getting shot, one day I'm asleep, right? And she dropped a quarter. And it sounded like a gunshot to me.
Wow.
So I jumped out, and I'm dead asleep. I jump out the bed. I run all the way out. Mind you, they ain't there drinking, having fun, chilling. I'm asleep or whatever. She dropped the quarter. I break out the house. That was the first moment I realized, something's wrong.
You break out the house.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm like, what? I didn't know what would happen. I'm like, they shooting. She was like, I dropped some change.
So everything's heightened. So was it more like?
And she didn't. Yeah, and that's also she didn't probably understand what you were dealing with.
Right, but what I'm saying is, you don't get a choice.
You probably didn't understand what you was dealing with.
Not until that moment, because the other situation happened prior to, and I'm like, I thought that was just kind of natural reaction.
Hood, yeah, this hood stuff.
It wasn't,
right? Like-
it wasn't PTSD to me. Like, you saw the car creeping.
Yeah.
But when she dropped the change, and I did that mid sleep, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay. But what I'm saying is, physiologically, I had no choice. Like, I didn't decide to get up and run. That was
your initial body reaction.
Yeah, it took me to a place of when I got
fight
shot.
or flight.
Right.
How did you deal with that? How did you come through that?
Right.
Well, it took me. First off, we had to break up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's at the end of the day, that's why we ended up breaking up, because I could never be that specific coveting for it, and I recognize that. You know, and I'm like, I felt like what ended up happening was I never told her this. There was another situation that happened when we got out the car.
We gotta mute that, bro. We have to mute that. Don't talk about that audio.
Is that coming from me?
Yeah.
There was another situation that
It's like
It's an echo.
I didn't know what it was. But there was another situation that happened, and I never told her. Right. So another creepy car pulls up, but her back is turned. I see the car. You know what I'm saying? Now, everything in my soul is saying, take off. You know what I'm saying? Take off. But I don't. I'm like, at all costs, I'm going to stay here.
right.
I'm nervous as shit. Right? So car passes. As a matter of fact, somebody stops, gets out the car. It's a neighbor. And I'm like, so at that moment, I'm like, I'm tripping. But I acknowledge what she's saying. You did?
Where do you be running to? You just run around a block?
No. I'm running for cover.
Yeah.
Literally, there was a gate about maybe 8 feet high. One day it happened. I cleared the gate.
Wow.
No hands. No.
The things you do.
That's adrenaline.
No hands.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Mind you, I'm sick with a tumor. I could barely walk at this moment, but cleared it with no hands.
Wow.
So, but on that given day, once it happened, you know, I got in the house and I was like, I was really ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And that was just a random car that comes every day. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm like, I can't be what you need me to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, granted, the other situation, I fully feel like I had a reason to be that way. But in this case, where it was just a regular day, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm dealing now. I know I'm dealing with something.
Right.
And granted, that day she was in it. My kid wasn't in the car.
I still hear, bro.
So when you say
Just
a
put the
reason to
computer
be
on
that
mute.
way, are you saying just because this has been the life, this has been the conditioning of the environment that I have been in?
So when you're in PT, when you have a post-traumatic situation,
Right.
you react. It's no different than fight or flight, right? You either bold enough to say, because trip this, before that, I got into a situation on Century where I'm in the car and there's a dude, I'm talking to a girl, and he's shooting next to my window. He shoots a guy. Bam.
Oh my God.
He's standing right next to me, like, I can, as clear as I can see you,
Yeah.
I can see him shooting this dude.
Oh my God.
Now, everybody in the car is ready to jump out and run. Me personally, I'm like, chill. I'm the calmest one in the building. But that was before I got shot. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no panic in my life, in my heart at all.
Yeah.
Now it's cool. It's like now the most logical thing is kicking in. Like, hey, don't run because if he sees us or if we react, he can shoot us too. Everybody else is panicking. That's prior to me getting shot. Post me getting shot, I don't like a car pulling up next to me at the light.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's how I got shot in a drive-by. You dig? So, but when you're in a post-traumatic situation, you don't get the chance right away. But before you recognize it, you know what I'm saying? You get the feeling, and you do what you would have done the first time had you known to protect yourself.
Have you sought professional help or any help to overcome this issue?
Personally, I had a conversation with one of my psychology teachers, and she did a really great job of just allowing me to talk through things. You know what I'm saying? At Southwest College. Now, you know, Miss Jackson, I'll never forget her. But most of it comes from recognizing and acknowledging the situation, which is where I was going with this whole situation. The minute I was able to acknowledge and accept what the mother of my child had told me, acknowledge and accept what had happened to me, you know what I'm saying, and understand like this is actually a situation, then I was able to identify it and combat it.
Do one of your other friends also have PTSD, or have you talked about it with them amongst your other friends?
They know it about me, but whether they have taken it in about themselves, you know, we haven't had those conversations. But do I see it amongst a lot of them and a lot of other people? I do. You know what I'm saying? Because in my opinion, in my humble opinion, that happens to us with everything. Like post-traumatic stress disorder doesn't just happen with the extreme situations.
Right.
Case in point, guy breaks your heart, right? Now you get into a relationship with another guy, but he does something that's reminiscent of what the prior guy did.
Right.
So you react. He knows, he's trying to figure out where the fuck is this coming from? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why would you even go there? And I've shown you nothing that would tell you that I'm that kind of man. Well, to an extent, that's PTSD because you only know based on, like, your heart was broken this way somehow. So you're trying to cut it off before it even happens.
Right.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
feel like we all probably, to that example, we all have PTSD, and I think we have, especially like going back to what you were saying with slavery. I think we probably all suffer from some form of PTSD in some kind of way. And then I was listening to Charlamagne's book, like recently about it's Shook Ones, and bro, he's still got the volume up. Just turn the volume all the way down.
All the way down.
It's but so like Shook Ones, I mean, literally in the chapter talking about PTSD and about how like you could just hear some stuff happening to somebody else, and how I guess it could come in the form of like you could basically hear somebody that you're close to go through something like a sexual trauma or some type of violent act, and that could cause you, like, people that seen the Nipsey Hussle video, going back to that,
Oh my God.
it's like you just watch something and you're just like, whoa, I need to. And then just even going to what's his name? Bun B. You know what I'm saying? He goes through his situation, and you're like, he's in his house. His wife gets a home invasion, and all this drama that unfolds, and that's giving everybody else like, oh snap, I need to get some more guns in my house. You know what I'm saying? It's like a traumatic kind of thing where you go through something or you hear about something, and you're just like, yo, I need to doggone do something, and then you just get like, I see what you're saying, like about the light. Like, I don't like people coming at, sitting next to me on the light. And not to say they're doing anything wrong, but I just be like, why you need to be right next to me at the stoplight? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, it's definitely, and then going to police trauma, like, even if we're not having any criminal activity or have like riding dirty or anything, but we still have trauma that we go that as you know, people of color deal with, as dealing with the police. You'd be like, I'm not doing that wrong, but I don't necessarily, I'm getting anxiety just having a police interaction, you know what I'm saying? And that's PTSD, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, like for me personally, like dealing with, I feel like I was in a war, but you know what I'm saying, to be honest, I was never shot or even shot at, you know what I'm saying? But I hear about people who was, I come home and people tell me they was, oh, the homie got shot, I got shot, or shot at, and things like that. And I'm like, dang, like, it's crazy. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, I was in a war, and then like you telling me like, oh yeah, I got shot, and I was just
on the boulevard,
like on the street, you know what I'm saying, on a regular.
It was a
street.
Sunday.
Yeah, like
church.
you get what I'm saying. Like that's a trip. Like that's like but the thing is, it's like, oh, well, you know, we say, oh, niggas get shot every day, and so people don't really, they say things that's kind of cliche to kind of just brush over the fact that like something like traumatic kind of happened, you know what I'm saying, or that something that isn't, it's just, we just say things that I feel like to normalize something that really isn't normal, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, oh yeah, like people do get shot, but that's not normal, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's very problematic, highly needs to be like figured out as to why people is just going around shooting other people. But that's, you know what I'm saying, it's like, damn, like you're throwing your life away, taking another person's life. And I was looking at, and the last thing I'll say is I was looking at videos. I just started going through a wormhole of old videos, and I'll be like seeing videos, and it'll be like a dancers. I've been doing a bunch of like old videos, posts and stuff, and I'll see like dancers that done got shot that I know that passed away, like R.I.P. You know, the homie James, and R.I.P. Oscar. You know what I'm saying? And just like I'll just see different people, that young people. I'm talking about these kids was younger than me when they got shot. You know what I'm saying? And they were like the young homies, and it's like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like they never. I remember just specifically just thinking about like whenever when I got married or when I had kids and stuff like that, I'll just be like, dang, like these dudes,
their life doesn't even start yet.
Yeah, they didn't even get to experience like none of these different things that. Yeah, their life didn't start. They didn't even get to make no real mistakes.
Right.
They didn't get to make no real things. They just young people that barely graduated high school, and for whatever reason, you see three other people, like in Oscar's case, it was like three other grown men riding around just looking to kill another black dude. Crazy. It's just like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we get. So three people got together in the car and thought that was the cool thing to do, was to kill a youth pastor. You know what I'm saying? That's just, it's definitely sad, and it's definitely like, you know, why is y'all life just come down to that? Like, why is that the thing to do?
And that's mental health again.
Yeah,
in what right mind? Well, a grown man, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so not only that, to have more than one, like you guys are all in on this, on one accord, just to go out. And so again, what was going through their minds at that moment?
There was nothing better y'all could figure out to do that night, or that y'all could
I wanted to
get together.
Even segue, I heard you say something about abuse, and I had pulled up an article from Media Diversified, and it was pretty much talking about the minimizing of sexual assault amongst black boys. And it was this discussion about rape and sexual abuse about black men and boys that are never given a chance to be looked at as an actual victim. And they showed the stats in 1 in 6 have been pretty much reported. Other than that, it's dealing with black men and black boys that have been abused. So what's your thoughts on that?
Look,
just about.
You're gonna hate me for it.
It's I would look. We're here for it. Come on.
You're gonna hate me for it, and the reason why I think black men, or men period, not black men, but men period, don't get to be victims,
Right.
is primarily because of feminism.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Feminism has become such a vast thing. You know what I'm saying? And to me, feminism takes on the exact depiction of a woman, which is so, like, a woman is everything. You know what I'm saying? She's not just one thing. So feminism.
So tilt your mic up a little bit more.
So
And I'll read a clip after you finish that. Yeah.
So feminism isn't just one thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So between the I don't need a man, you know what I'm saying, and I'm strong and
But I think that's the bad rep that feminism gets.
No, you're right. You're right. But it's become so extreme. You know what I'm saying? Because at the core of
I'm not necessarily connecting the dots.
I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. At the core of feminism, the objective is the right thing and the way to go. You know what I'm saying? Because women have been mistreated for so long.
It's just they just want to be equal.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But some people portray it in such a way.
Men hating, like.
Right.
Yeah.
So take a random example, right? It's a woman's job to look pretty and look good, and a guy's job to just stand there. Mm-hmm. Take weddings. Most men actually want to get married, believe it or not, but it's considered a woman's day. You know what I'm saying? They're so often we're so often put to the side. You know what I'm saying? And to talk about being molested or raped means you have to tap into feelings that would either make you cry, make you vulnerable, or make you weak, or make you not understand. You know what I'm saying? And to exude that is not often a place of attractiveness for a woman. You know what I'm saying? Now, she'll accept it when she's dealing with a man. You know what I'm saying? But if that's something I have to present to you before you have to deal with me so that you can deal with me, or so that I can actually deal with you, like, look, I have these hurdles. You know what I'm saying? I have these hurdles. And before I can get past these hurdles, I need to tell you this. Now, that's going to change your view of me. You know what I'm saying?
It's not manly. It's not manly.
It now makes me less than, as opposed to if you tell me the same story, it grants you empathy. You know what I'm saying? And now I care more and I want to console you. Vice versa, it's like,
I don't know if I agree with that, but I feel you.
I would say, like,
because
for instance,
because they're outliers.
There's a double standard. Just for instance, like when the example, this wasn't sexual drama, molestation, but like, you know, in Insecure, when Mimi, was it Molly, and she was her and her dude was talking about their sexual past, and he was like,
with the dude.
Yeah, and he got with a dude in the past.
Yeah,
that's a little different.
Yeah, that's different. We're talking about abuse.
No, but it's not.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, because
it's not that different.
What I'm saying is he.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
All right,
See?
all right, so let me say why I feel like, not to say it is different because it was a choice, whatever. What I'm saying is at the end of the day, if you get taken down as, if you're whatever, like, say for instance, there's a macho kind of thing. If you're a 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old kid that ends up sleeping with their teacher, you might be, that's a woman, you might be seen in a one way. And if you're a kid that is molested still, but ends up sleeping with a male teacher, you might be looked at differently. You know what I'm saying? But obviously you're still manipulated by adult and all this stuff and all that. But at the same time, there's just this, you know, male, female. There's just a thing that's just looked at.
I want to let her talk.
So
I was just
gonna say,
speak.
the reason I've even brought it, like I said, the reason I even brought up that example was just because her situation and her experiences was looked at. I was like, oh, okay, cool, that's what she was doing, whatever. It's no big deal. Her thing was like, that was a deal breaker. You know what I'm saying? Her situation, it was like, yeah, I know you're being honest with me, but that was basically you told me to. That was a deal breaker situation. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like there's times where dudes might be vulnerable in a situation where it's like, look, I have this. I you know what I'm saying? I was doing this, and I might have been confused at the time, or manipulated, or molested, whatever at the time, but this is not what I'm trying to do really with my situation. It might not be seen in that same light. It's gonna be like, it's still, it's as they say, suspect, right? It's still.
Let's see. I want to hear her thoughts. I want to hear your. I want to hear your thoughts.
You get what I'm saying?
Tell me why it's not. Tell me why it's
Well,
not the case.
I definitely think that it's a choice, right? If I'm on a date.
Define.
I'm
being molested.
No.
Yeah.
You said saying. Listen, like, I want to get this thing out. It just depends on how the delivery comes out.
Right, I'm lost now.
If we're talking about men who have been, who made a choice to sleep with other men because they were confused, that might raise a red flag because
it's still the same
people
thing.
still leave their women for men later on in life because that's a thing. Like,
they're
that
still
happens.
confused.
Yeah.
True.
Right, because they're still confused.
True.
But
Right.
if my man was molested and we had a conversation on the front end about him being molested, there is no way, as a woman who has gone through that as well, there's no way I'd be like, deal breaker for me.
So look. So now, as a male who's going through the same thing, I've been molested myself, and I've given this story to somebody, and it's the exact same thing that he said. Because guess what? At that point, the question is, well, what do you like? Well, like, I didn't tell you. Like, this was,
Right.
something that I did.
Yeah,
something that I did by choice.
Right.
And you're questioning me. Like, if you were molested by a woman, I wouldn't. That's not a question I would ask you. You know what I'm saying? If you were molested by a man, I wouldn't ask you if you now like or indulge in other men.
Ignorance hurt.
Yeah,
some people are just so empathetic. First of all,
She was wet.
and not
But it's not. But let me give you another case and scenario based on what he said, what she said, right? Based on that kind of situation, right? All right. I read a stat years ago, right? That 64% of married women to men have had same-sex sexual encounter in college.
64%.
64%
of women
That's
have had
like-
sex with other women.
Yeah, in college, whatever, right? Now,
That's more than half.
That's
that was way back in the day. This is 06, 08, somewhere in there. So, you tell me that in college you had an experience with a woman. It is what it is. You had an experience with a woman. It goes no further.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And regardless whether you like them or don't, I like you. Because you like men. And I'm talking to you, which means you like me. Right? Now, let's flip the script.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, in college,
Right.
I chose to do X, Y, and Z. I like women. But I tried X, Y, and Z.
There's something about a man lusting after another man.
Okay.
I mean,
There's no competition for a woman. I have no room, honey.
Some things
Like,
and take
I
some
cannot
things on.
listen.
And you gotta want to
I'm
do
sorry.
this.
I gotta say it because look, you're a woman, and not that I would ever compete. I feel like I shouldn't have to, but I'm just saying, this is a woman. That's a man. I can never compete with that man. If
Okay, I got you.
If that's what you're
You-
going
you
for.
get what I'm saying?
Now trip this.
Because did you like it?
Trip this. I got you. You're a woman. You're a woman. You're a woman.
Yep.
Right?
That's a revelation right there.
I
All
think
right.
Breaking news.
Here we go.
Now trip this.
Wait, what is it?
Here we go.
You like me.
Okay.
I told you we it's just me and you. But I sleep with her in addition to. You find out about her. Now, I told you that it was just me and you, but you find out about her. In addition, you know now that I was sleeping with her. Can either one of you compete with each other?
No, because I'd be like, well, then you can have them.
Exactly.
No.
But
Time
if
out.
you was like, I'm
Time
sleeping
out.
with you and I'm sleeping with him,
Right.
No.
Well,
Time
wait,
out.
This is getting a little weird.
Time out.
Getting a little weird here.
No, she brought you into this. I didn't bring you.
Where's this going?
I said all women. So no, trip this. It's how you perceive it based on. So let me give you another example of why it's really based on perception, right?
does this all come from boys being abused?
I
Correct.
started off as that,
Okay.
yeah, because
Okay.
Well, no.
We
More
in
like a-
Detroit land right now.
Okay.
Welcome to Detroit.
I'm trying to
I will tie.
I was trying to segue.
I will,
tie it together.
I will tie a bow.
Wrap it up.
All right.
Let's say,
So
yeah.
I I'm a fancy guy, nice car, nice woo. You know I have women.
Opposite of
You know I have women.
Yeah.
You know I have women. But I like you. So you in turn you like me back. And you think that you can change me. Right? Bam. That's your truth. My truth is you know I have women. It's a guarantee that I'm sleeping with her and her. You know that. But I've expressed that I like you. You think there's something specific about you that makes you different. Right? Now,
Women do that all the time.
Yeah,
Bingo.
so I'm trying to follow you. Come on,
I'm getting there.
Detroit.
I'm getting there.
Hey.
I'm getting there. But she knows that I have a child by you. She can't accept those terms because she knows there's nothing she can do
Detroit.
with you.
Are we talking about competing?
Yeah, because now it's
He's changing it.
Listen, Linda,
bro. Look, we've been listening. We have been listening for a long time. No,
I'm really
no,
trying.
because this is
So-
number 2 example on listening.
Time
And
out.
I'm
So,
just
okay,
like, bro,
okay. So-
just say what you gotta say.
No.
or something.
So look.
please.
I'm following.
So,
I'm following.
right.
Okay.
So
Come on down.
The point is,
Yes.
it's entirely in perspective and in the ways of your world. She said it's just something about a man lusting about another man. Let's tie this entirely together.
Okay.
The initial thing that I said was feminism, right? And in feminism, you want it in each and every way. If you think about it in its entirety, you want to be able to wear what you want to wear. You can come in here wholesome how you are today. And you want me to respect you. Tomorrow you can come in here, short skirt, whatever, blah, 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 and you still gonna want me to respect you. You dig? Nothing's gonna change. You don't want anything conflated with anything that has to do with your character, right? But on the same note, if I was to make a choice to deal with another guy, as you could deal with another one, mind you, feminism is the fight for the equal rights, right? So I should be able to fight for a job. You know what I'm saying? The same way you should be able to fight for a job.
We get
Kick you down.
I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it'd be okay. But now that the script is flipped, you know what I'm saying? Because I said 64.
Once you add the little
the-
the dude
the-
with
We're
the-
talking about sexuality. Though.
No. But it doesn't. See, here's what I'm saying. It's almost like saying a sin is a sin, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what? We all believe in the same thing. I told my son this earlier. I said, you know what? We all believe in the same thing. We're both religious. But some people are going to believe in other things based on what it is they believe in. So we all believe in God. We all believe we should be married, but we all have unmarital sex. But it's
we
okay.
don't all do
We-
that.
yeah,
No.
Speak for yourself.
Because even religion is subjective.
Time out. You believe in God?
I believe in the Holy Trinity and the Holy.
Have you ever had unmarital sex?
Come on,
First of
man.
all,
That's too
there you
much.
go.
You know.
Yeah, we're not.
Hey, this is a woman of God right
I-
here.
Come on,
You know what I'm
Charles.
saying?
So without her answering
So,
that question, to my point, you know what? That's condoned. However, should a guy say, you
Right.
know what? I tried something in college.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Now
follow you.
all that goes out the window because the feminist in you says, let me be exactly who you are. You know what I'm saying? Every right that you have, let me do. But the feminist in you also says there's a right that's reserved strictly for me because I am a woman. But they don't apply for
No,
men.
look, it's definitely 100%.
Yeah.
There's
A double standard.
There's a double standard.
Yeah,
that
it
exists.
is,
And
we
it's-
see that. I think, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say that it's a double standard that exists. That's all I can say.
And I think more so why I segued into that whole abuse thing, because I think it does play a part in a lot of the mental health. I think it plays a part, well, when you see certain stats about abuse and how it's altered people's flow of life and choices and perception on what they feel they want, but still being confused with their identity, you know. So that's why I kind of segued that way, and more so with black boys, because like I said, it's almost like we don't see them as victims, but they are. And even with the whole Me Too movement, it's almost like, well, them too.
Yeah.
I mean,
know what I
even
mean?
Terry Crews,
So-
for example, nobody really.
That's a lot of
No,
artists.
what I'm
Lil
saying-
Wayne, D-Ray, it's, you know, and just seeing
What D-Ray said? Something?
yeah, it was
They were
something
abused.
about his teacher or something like
Oh,
that,
really?
abused him.
Like a male.
It was a woman.
Okay, woman,
yeah,
yeah.
it was crazy. So it's
But I'm
like,
saying, as far as like Terry Crews being like approached by a man, just
Yeah.
saying and everybody's just like, I mean, automatically, everybody just went to like, Terry Crews is this big black dude, so he should knock them out, and that should have been the end of it, kind of thing. And you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, there was just I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's a weird thing to go through. Like, on one side, the Me Too is like, Me Too, women can be pressured and this and that and this and that, and then you're just like, this dude felt like this agent, violated him, and he chose to kind of go a different route, you know what I'm saying, with how he wanted to address the situation. But I don't feel like he was like, you know what I'm saying, he was necessarily supported in that, and it was more like, he's a guy touched him, he should have, basically been beat him up. He's the big black guy. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like, women on the side, it's like, oh, we're women, we got to be protected, we don't feel comfortable, and we're put in awkward situations, and it's just like, it's this thing that I think that people are still trying to navigate. You know what I'm saying?
I think it also comes down to lack of education on the subject, because that's not portrayed in because I took a class on this, and but I barely learned them. Like, oh, it didn't click to me until I took a class and was like, it affects men too. Yeah. Because you forget that it does, or you don't realize that it does, because it's always usually on women. The focus is usually on women are subjected, they're abused. You don't get the same reaction or the same education that men are affected too. They also get raped. They also get abused. They also get, all these other feelings that hurt them mentally, and they grow up with all this trauma that gets kind of overthrown over the head. And especially for minorities, men, like, that's definitely not a subject that comes to light very often.
I agree.
And I'll read this from the same article I was just speaking about. So it says here, there's a longstanding belief that men and boys cannot be raped the way that many see sexual assault. In the lens from a woman, the forceful taking of a woman's body has always been popular definition, quote, quote, for abuse, because the man has penis, of course, and they're the penetrator. So he's always considered the aggressor, not the victim. And the view when it comes to black men have been magnified 20 times that, because you're a black man. So it's definitely a discussion that I think, even more so now that, everything is more upfront. Everything's coming out with abuse and the Me Too, and you know what I mean? And I think it's going to have to give way to that open area arena for young men, young boys, especially black men.
Well,
we're talking about that, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was looking at Detroit.
I was just about to say, I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
I'm working on a project, and it's like, because right after that, after all of that stuff came out, like the women start coming out with the Me Too. Yeah. My first response was like, what about the men? As a woman, I was like, what about the men that go through these issues? So I came up with this concept. It was like me, like men too, but the N is like crossed out, and it just says men too. Because we forget about the men. Yeah. And so we started doing these interviews with men who have been raped and molested, and it's just been an interesting journey. Like, obviously, it's nothing that I released. Right. Don't be stealing my ideas. People
even the whole Boy Scouts of America did that thing.
The Catholic Church. We don't want to really go there, but that's the reality. The Boy Scouts. There's a lot of. There's a lot of organizations that are not really, just fully going out and just saying what's going on, but there's definitely the sad. Here goes the reality. This is just the point blank range. If you are if a person is making their is working with children or kids directly, they're basically, that's where the people who are predators lie within. So any person that is dealing with children directly is always somebody that you gotta kind of side eye or just say why, you keep a close eye on them because they're like, why are you putting yourself in this specific position to be directly in contact with young kids? And unfortunately, a lot of people who are got great intentions or great people that are looking to just help the youth, but there's also a lot of predators that are specifically trying to put themselves in that position. So if you're a Boy Scout counselor, if you're a Catholic priest, or whoever you are that is in a position to be directly connected to youth, especially disenfranchised youth, those are people that you got to really, really say, like, what's your interaction with these kids and how much supervised or unsupervised interactions are you having, and take a close look at them, because that's where where you'll find the people that are doing stuff that isn't above board.
I also say the predators become predators. The predators become predators. Like, they make a choice, right? So we see with R. Kelly, right? Yeah. He was his sister molested him for years, and then at some point he had a decision to make. He could have went one way, but you know, his mental health caused him to just kind of perpetrate what he learned. So you were saying, though, to go back to like why men kill each other, or why black men, because I think that's where it came from. You were like, oh, there was abuse. He was saying, why would people kill each other? Why, right? And then you brought up abuse. But I also wanted to say that just include like being in the hood and not having access to resources, poverty, not having, I mean, all of those things affect our black men in a way that makes them, not having good role models, going to jail, in and out of jail, the system. I just think black men in general have so many things that they have to deal with on a regular basis, And so I could see why the PTSD of just being a black man is hard work. It's a hard thing.
What would you guys think would be the best solution?
To what? Stop.
Right.
So what?
I don't think there's no one thing. Like, when you think about solution, I think it's more like she was saying, like, it has become like a lifestyle of awareness, of finding the right resources and really tapping in, starting from ground zero, even with our young boys. I think, I grew up in Catholic and public schools, and I mean, we had sexual health and, sexual ed and all that. But I'm like, there was never a point where we had a mental health aid or, counseling. And, hey, if you're going through this, and this, puberty, we never had anything to tap into to say, oh, that's a resource. That's good for me. Let me go there.
I think that would be a great thing to add to the curriculum. Yeah. I think that would help out schools.
I absolutely think it's so good and so needed. Like, and
especially at that age, because I remember just feeling so lost, I think, of all ages. Like, when you're at that age, you're just so vulnerable and so naive too. You forget that, and I guess with all the suicides with the young kids,
so sad
that it's just like, it would be such a great help for people to talk about it, to find out where you can, especially, and I think especially in lower class,
in the hood,
like in working class in areas, just because like, definitely, because that's where I feel like it hits the most.
Because you have, and then in those situations you have the kids that are, just, they're coming from the trauma in the home. You know what I mean? So coming from that, going to school and being teased or being bullied or whatever the case may be, it's just like
a cycle.
It's just a build. It's just a build, and to never have a release. They can't go home to have a release and refuge because they're, fighting all night, or just in that constant environment of just toxic, being toxic. So it's like, where do they get the relief? And it's sad when we do hear about these children that committed suicide. Like, do you know how much it takes for, like, even the mental strength to take yourself out? It's just like they went that far off. It's really sad.
I've definitely thought about that. I was like,
that's a lot.
You really are.
That's heavy.
Yeah, like that was your only option left.
Yeah.
Like that was it.
Yeah. So.
It's really a sad thing. So let's get our last words in, going from left to right about tonight.
I think this was a great discussion. I hope that as a community we are able to heal. I mean, I know there's such a work to be done. And there's no one right approach to it, but I really hope that at some point we can have enough conversations that will allow people to just, get woke to or try to find some types of solutions so we could just work together as a community to figure out how to, get to the bottom.
I think it's dope. I'm glad we're having this convo, and I think there's more depth to go to, and we just kind of scratching the surface on a lot of these topics, but we got to start somewhere, basically. So so it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we should just keep the conversation going and talk about different aspects, because there's a lot of different aspects of mental health to touch on. But see a therapist. We got to dive into therapy, and shout out to Charlemagne, Shook Ones. I'm reading that right now, and it's all about therapy, the stigma of people that go to therapists, and I'm trying to figure out how if I qualify for a therapist. It seems like yes, I mean what I'm saying, like how it's gonna break down with the medical insurance and all that. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes they offer the coverage. They offer it within the coverage. I don't mind
like regular just healthcare.
What you got?
I don't. I gotta look at my healthcare situation.
I know. We got it like a note that was just like
Blue Shield. I don't know.
And most jobs offer it too.
Yeah, I'm trying to say. Yeah, so that would just cover it. Blue Cross. Think about.
I have Blue Cross, but it's through Motion Picture.
Yeah,
you should be able to.
Probably.
Right, you got Motion Picture.
No, it's still my wife's job, so I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I gotta look through my paperwork.
Well, everybody look into what you have at home, whatever your insurance. If you have insurance, we gotta keep it moving.
Let's get your
We'll offline it.
Yes, thank you. I had a great time. Thank you for having me. It was a great discussion and hearing everyone's insights and different thoughts, and thank you.
Good to have your energy.
Yeah.
I would say, as a whole, as community people, all that, I think we should be more sensitive to what it is to be human and to have these life experiences and to be able to process and accept it from where you are, and just like you said, you got to start today. There's so much out there. There's so many resources, more so now than I think before. And just take the first step to healing. I think one step at a time, and then collectively, and just be empathetic. So many people that come with so much trauma from childhood that I think we should just be a little more empathetic. You don't know where people have come from, what they have gone through, or what they have not even acknowledged that they've gone through. And even the things that are lying dormant, that the triggers even in life as an adult that, wow, I didn't even know that was still buried, but here I am, So that's all I have to say. And mental health awareness, take care of yourselves and check on your loved ones.
Yes, indeed.
So, typically I do give a poem toward the end, and I did write one, but I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to leave my thoughts. In my opinion, I humbly think that when it comes to mental health, especially for men, because we know the primary effect on men is them having a lack of speech and not speaking up, the biggest advocates for it need to be the women, because they're the biggest advocates. Aside from the men suffering from it, you're dating us. You know what I'm saying? Our goal is to be with you. You know what I'm saying? There's a saying, men only do what women allow. You know what I'm saying? So if our primary goal is to be good for you and to you, we can't be the best of us for you if we're suffering mentally. But most men won't come out with that issue if they feel like it's going to penetrate their armor, if they're going to be looked at less than. So if there's a bunch of women taking a stand, parading around, and up front, on the front line, you know what I'm saying, saying, man, come out, I support you. You know what I'm saying? I know you are going through things on the daily. I understand the PTSD that you have, and we can get through this. Tell me your story. Then you'll get the truth from a lot of men. Most of the time, women get so deeply involved with a man And by the time they realize what's really going on to the detriment of him, they're like, fuck, I had no clue what I was dealing with. And now they're compromised because they might have made a different decision. They might have approached a certain situation differently. Hell, if cops knew that they were dealing with somebody dealing with that had mental illness, they probably wouldn't have shot the gun. You know what I'm saying? So in that regard, I would like women to be our biggest superheroes when it comes to men's mental illness, because we don't know that it's okay to say, I've gone through this. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm dealing with. You know what I'm saying? And if you accept me, I can give you me. And most of the time, randoms, you know what I'm saying? It's that woman that says, you good, I got you anyway. That ends up getting married, you know what I'm saying? That ends up in the long run, and you're looking like, why her? Well, because she said okay, because she was understanding, or because he was able to be vulnerable toward her, and he felt like he mattered to her in that regard. So
that's awesome. Yes.
You know, it's been a great session.
Yes.
And I've enjoyed the
Snaps
conversation.
up in the air.
You know what I'm saying? There's tons of beautiful people in the room. Unfortunately, including Charles. You know what I'm saying? And it's been a great conversation. I've learned a lot. I heard a lot. And so I hope that you guys can say the same.
Yeah,
so,
yes, definitely.
My wife just sent Cigna is my healthcare.
Yes. Like, get it right.
Yeah.
Amen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that should be an option.
Right?
We'll figure it out. I'm to be continued, but yeah,
I'm sure it is, but being the man, he don't know.
Yeah, for real. But I'm definitely because I don't want to pay a bunch of money for it. That's what I'm saying. So
it's worth it. I mean, it's worth it.
I'm sure it's
that's
worth
the mental
the
block.
money. Yeah.
Stop it. This is good.
I'm saying if I got insurance, I'm trying not to have to pay. Yeah,
co-pay.
I want to do the co-pay.
There are free programs for men, and there are.
I promise you, it's the most worth the thing.
There are programs,
and I'll tell you that
$20 co-pay. Let's do it.
One of the deepest things.
That's even better.
Let me tell you something about speaking to a psychologist or therapist. Yeah. I told the mother of my child something that was light to me. It was light to me. So when she told me she had a therapist, she was like, "Oh, I told him X, Y, and Z." I'm like, "Why?" She was like, "Because that weighed heavily on me. I had no clue, right?" And so that was something that she was able to vent and talk about, and it was very cathartic to her, that allowed her to move on with her life. And I would have never known, but she couldn't have never told me because it was light, or she felt it was heavy personal to me. But you never know what it is for them that they endure for, or based on what you endure. You know what I'm saying? So we all need somebody to talk to.
Can I just say this? YouTube is such a great resource for everything, especially for therapy. There are therapists on YouTube who offer, like, they have a whole catalog of videos helping you get through anything that you may think you're going through.
Really?
Today's parents.
Let me tell you something.
YouTube is today's parent.
It is
so good.
They have. You can learn
a good
anything.
One. Thank you for saying
anything.
That. That's really good.
Yeah.
I hope y'all hear that out there. It's really not that you want to say it's no excuse, but there's so much out there.
Only do the verified accounts though. I don't know.
Shout out your network.
Hey, so you can catch me at Miss Black Hollywood. Watch the Real Network TV. We on here. We got good content about all types of things with all kind of black people. All kinds of conversations. It's great.
Amen.
All right.
Your Instagram.
Dance Hustle on everything.
Whatever you want to give us. Your name, Instagram.
Yes, my name is Alicia Navarro. I do another show on Dash Radio every Thursday, 8 to 9. I have Girl Talk Unplugged podcast, and I one of the producers on, or actually I do boards for the cruise show on Real 92.3, so you can catch me anywhere.
Yeah.
She's in these radio streets.
Deidre.George. I have so many things in the making, so I will be shouting out some much needed content. Facebook, so much stuff coming out. So I would say stay tuned. I've been like literally radio silent, but I'm definitely excited for what's coming up. So stay tuned.
That is the
All right.
talented DJ George.
Yes.
I am Dontrell Detroit. You can find me at Dontrell Detroit or anywhere and everywhere, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. Look, we've had a great time, and I appreciate you for listening. This is us for the night. From us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is Love Amplified, and I hope you go somewhere and amplify your love tonight. Yeah, we out here.